between UFC Mexico this past weekend and the fight announcement news that we just got, dog, we got some shit to talk about in this video. But hey, it's your boy DHP, and y'all know the rest, man. Whoo, boy, do we got some shit to talk about. John Jones, Alex Pereira. Also, the shit I've seen this morning, where this nigga Ali Abazi, or however you pronounce his last name, it's getting to the point where I'm like, you know what? Like, low key, this shit, and it's all had to do with the damn White House card, bro. I'm telling you, this White House card, I might say that little rant for the end of the video, but this White House card real live turned MMA into boxing, because the shit with Ilia Topuria and then the shit with Islam. Then I seen this shit today with Ali, I said Ali. Ali, I keep calling the nigga Ali. Ali, he said that Ian Gary is not, you know, they rejected Ian Gary. Ian Gary is not the big name that they looking for. So now niggas is it's either Marty Usman or maybe we really about to get the Ilia Topuria fight. Oh my God, man, this shit right here, it's like day after day, week by week, as the weeks go on, this shit is really turning into boxing. I might put that as the title of my video, cause I don't know. This shit real live low key pissing me off, because this is not, I didn't sign up for this, you know what I mean? Like, we supposed to be talking about the sport of MMA with the mainstream brand, with the UFC, what's going on with the UFC. UFC, yes, we get the fights. We get way more entertaining in the fights that we want more than boxing, but it's the politics. The politics behind these recent fights, like the past, I want to say the past 2 years. We can go the past 2 years. The behind the scene politics with some of these fight bookings the past 2 years has been on some boxing bullshit. And now with this White House card, and we're gonna get to Connor too. Now with this White House card, it seemed like it escalated more. But before we get into all that, I want to quickly talk about the Brandon Moreno and Lonier Kavanaugh fight. I just rewatched that fight yesterday too, and let me tell you, yeah, I feel like piggybacking off my review. You know what's funny is that Charles Johnson, real live, potentially, if Charles can get his shit together and he can go on like a, let's say, 3 to 4 fight win streak, we might see him in a title fight. Because this nigga, not only did he beat him, but he knocked him out. He beat both Joshua Van and Lonier Kavanaugh. Joshua Van is our current flyweight champ. Lonier Kavanaugh, upsetting Brandon Moreno, is now inside the top 10. Charles Johnson, real live, and I seen the meme, the best base for being a flyweight contender is just getting knocked out and beaten by Charles Johnson. And truth be told, yeah, let Charles Johnson get his shit together and go on like a 3 to 4 fight win streak. Yeah, we're gonna see him in a title fight, because the fucking story and the booking is already there. Charles Johnson, he just gotta hold up his end of the bargain, and yeah, if he gets inside the top 5 with a winning streak, oh yeah, Joshua Van, definitely get a rematch on Joshua Van. Definitely get a rematch over Lonier Kavanaugh, depending on where he at. But it's funny that Charles Johnson, real live, beat both of these niggas, and now both of them, it's is ranked way ahead of Charles Johnson, which is crazy. But Lonir Kavanaugh, yeah, that was beautiful. That was. Now I do question his cardio some, but as far as like his striking prowess, that was a good performance over Brandon Moreno. Arguably, that might be the best we've seen against Brandon Moreno. And it's crazy to think because Pantoja has swept Brandon Moreno, but Pantoja has this crazy style, this crazy overwhelming style where I feel like he just beat Brandon Moreno to the punch. Not that Lonir Kavanaugh didn't, but Lonir Kavanaugh on a technical scale, he real live pieced Brandon the fuck up more than Pantoja did, at least to me. So that was pretty impressive. But if we gonna do like the what's next, you know, these Monday weekend recap videos is basically like, you know, the matchmaking type video. If we had to do what's next, and I peeped the ranking some before I hit record. So what I alluded to on the review show, I want to explain a little bit more on here. So I'm guessing with, you know, no research, no news outlet, whatever, none of my sources hit me back up, excuse me. Joshua Van Tassilo Tara, right? They on 327. By the way, we're gonna get to that later in this video with Carlos Oberg and Yuri Prohaska. Because Yuri Prohaska, so Joshua Van Tassilo Tara is the co-main event. So I'm under the assumption that Pantoja is gonna get the winner. So if Pantoja gets the winner of that, then that leaves Manel Cat without a fight. And then you got the rising of Koji Horiguchi. Now I wouldn't say the rising, like he's, you know, y'all know what I mean about Horiguchi, like he's rising through the ranks. So really it comes down to those two options, because I don't think they're gonna give him Brandon Royval because he lost again. And he's probably not gonna fight back in the rankings unless Charles Charles has another fight coming up? Unless Charles has another fight coming up, and then he wins that fight, and then him and Charles do the rematch then. But also, as a matter of fact, you can add a third option in there, because they can either do Manel Cap, or they can give him Horiguchi. But at the same time, because I don't think that Brandon Moreno, Brandon Moreno got options too, because they could low key, now that he coming off a loss, Brandon Moreno could low key render. They could rebook that Asua Balve fight. To be quite honest with you, they could. But also they can do Asua Balve and Lonir Kavanaugh. So they could go with that route. But I think it's more the two options they got. It's Manel Cat, because I'm the way Manel Cap is, yes, he wants his title shot, but he strikes me as I haven't peeped this, like his recent behavior on how he like Stipe. Like Stipe cried, and you know, he set out and waited for his title shot and shit like that. A lot of other niggas be doing that shit too. But Manel Cap, he strikes me as somebody like, okay, I'm not gonna get the shot, but I'm gonna go ahead and take another fight type shit. So I would assume that Manel Cap would fight Lonir Kavanaugh. I really think the only two options is Lonir Kavanaugh or Koji Horiguchi. Because and I said this during the preview, I low-key forgot about Pantoja, but I think Pantoja, he gonna get that immediate rematch. There wouldn't be a reason why he wouldn't get an immediate rematch once you know, he gets fully recovered and shit like that. Because he's in training right now. That's the crazy thing about it, because I believe he don't need surgery or something like that. So that's why he's back in training, like, right now type shit. Like, he's in training camp. He's in training camp right now, still doing his little thing. So I would assume after Tatsuro Tara and Joshua Van gets through, he's gonna get the winner of that fight. So yeah, and Lonier Kavanaugh, him upsetting Brandon Moreno, he's gonna be like 7th ranked, 6th ranked. So Brandon Royval is still in the top 5 rankings from what I've seen, but he's coming off a loss. That could be a potential fight. That could be a potential fight, because Lonier Kavanaugh, he's like further back. But knowing the UFC nowadays, like, rankings really don't matter that much like it used to. It really don't matter like it used to. So I would say you could book Brandon Royval and Lonier Kavanaugh, but I think Lonier, he's gonna get the latter. Koji Horiguchi or Manel Cap. But either way, my flyweight division is booming. My flyweight division is booming. Brandon Moreno. Is it time? Do we need to have that discussion for him? Is it time for him to potentially make a move at bantamweight? Because on a stylistic scale, Brandon Royval, I keep saying Brandon Royval, excuse me, y'all. Brandon Moreno do have the skills to be a legit threat at bantamweight. As we see with Davison Figure, my boy Figgy, you know, he went up to bantamweight. He was on a little roll starting out bantamweight, but now he's kind of all over the map. He lost to Corey Sandhagen, got demolished. Then he lost against Petrion. And then who did he fight last? I think Davison, my boy Figgy's on a 3-fight losing streak. So it's Figgy, he gotta get his shit together. But Brandon, it might be time for Brandon Moreno to look at going up to bantamweight. If not, because I really think at this point, and we might gotta have that conversation about Pantoja too. But I think it's sad to say, but it's safe to say that the flyweights has passed Brandon Moreno up. Like, Brandon Moreno's like top peak flyweight performance is over. My personal opinion. So yeah, I say take a look at going to bantamweight. Now, the news that we heard and seen over the weekend, Alex Pereira has vacated the belt. It's gonna be Yuri Prochazka, Carlos Oberg. At first, we thought, and I said this in the video last week. Was it last week? Yeah, it was last week. We might see Kamzat go up to light heavyweight, but I think it's now, speaking of safe to say, it's safe to say now that he's defending his middleweight belt, which is good. Because honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing Kamzat go up to light heavyweight, but I really want to see Kamzat stay at middleweight. Just even if it is true, like he said, he's going to defend the belt like 1 or 2 times and then go up to light heavyweight, I still want to see him defend the belt. Just so, he can get a defense on his resume. But yeah, Carlos Oberg, Yuri Prochazka for the vacant light heavyweight belt at 327. That has overtaken my boy Joshua Van and Tatsuro Tara, which is crazy because that's when we get there, we gonna talk about it. But that's right there, bro. That's a hard fight for me to decide, because both of them niggas is my boys. But Carlos Oberg, Proska is the new main event for 327 for the vacant strap, meaning Alex Pereira has now vacated the belt, going up to heavyweight full time. Now, John Jones recently came out and said he's in negotiations for the White House card to fight Alex Pereira. I kind of had mixed feelings about that, because I'm like, okay, this is the last fight that John Jones ever going to do. This is the fight that he actually wanted in the first place. But at the same time, it's like, I kind of don't want to even see it, because especially with like the past couple weeks of John doing this little tough shit with DC or whatever, and then, you know, the shit that he was getting recorded on, John Jones, he don't look good. He do not look good. And it's one of those things where, especially for those that have been watching MMA and, you know, the UFC for a long time, like I have, you grown up with some fighters, you grew up seeing, you know, your favorite fighter potentially grow old and just don't fight the same. Like, I seen it with Chuck Liddell. I seen it with BJ Penn. I've seen it somewhat with GSP, even though GSP came back and redeemed himself and then retired again. That last fight that GSP had, and maybe that's due to him being like mentally over the sport, like he just had to step away for some years. That last fight with Johnny Hendricks was not the GSP. He still escaped with a W, but that wasn't the dominant, you know, GSP that I grew up watching. And you can tell it was about to be a new passing of the torch or shifting the guard almost. Hold on. I feel like a sneeze was coming. So yeah, we for those that have been watching the UFC for a long time, I'm pretty sure you had a fighter that you liked growing up, and you probably, even BJ Penn. BJ Penn is another one for me. When he came back for his like second and third UFC run, I'm like, this ain't the fucking BJ Penn I grew up watching. But yeah, we all had that, you know, fighter growing up that we all love, and they continue to fight past their prime, and they just did not look the same at all. I don't want that to happen to John Jones, because niggas is already on your dome piece because of how you handled the Tom Aspinall situation, which, you know, I mean, in a bigger grand scheme of things, John was actually right. Like, no matter if you love John, if you hate John, whatever, yes, he the way he handled negotiations and all that shit was shitty. You know, I can't really say I'm surprised because how John is, but I did expect him to handle that, you know, handle that better. But in actuality, John was right about Tom. I mean, yeah, the eye poke situation, all that shit is unfortunate, but let's not forget, Cyril Gahn was piecing Tom up low key before that eye poke. Like, on the judges score, I'm telling you, if that fight went on past the first round, Cyril Gahn won that first round, hands down. Like, they ain't no discussion. Before the eye poke, Cyril Gahn was about to, you know, he might have just won that whole fight via technical decision, by just technically piecing him up. But John was right. But John, he just don't look good. And I seen him do the flag football shit. He don't look good at all. Like this, I don't want to see John, because niggas is already on your head about the Tom Aspinall situation. Imagine you come back and you get knocked out for the first time, and Alex Pereira do have the potential to knock you. I was about to say little. John is fast for little, but Alex Pereira do have the power to put your lights out, especially in your stage of your career. Like, we ain't talking about like prime John or John, you know, coming back like the second, third time, John, when you fought Thiago Santos and Don Reyes. Alex Pereira is a whole different animal from them two niggas. And where you at in your career at this point, you will get your lights put out. And I'm not really, I kind of want to see the fight because this is a huge fight, but at the same time, for John's sake, I'm like, you know what, I'll just stay retired, bro, because he don't look good at all. John, go back and look at that flag football shit. John do not look good at all. Like, I really think, like, what he got to go for, a hip replacement or whatever. Yeah, John is fucked up. And it's crazy because Alex Pereira is like, what, like 4, 5, 6 years older than John? But I think John, John is because what is John, like 33, 34, 35? Ain't he something like that? John, he's it's the abuse that he put on his body, like when he was doing all the fucking drugs and the cocaine and shit like that. It's all that shit, you know, coming back to, you know, to I wouldn't say haunt him, but it's one of those things where how the older generation, the OGs, will say, if you don't take care of your body now, once you get older, you're really going to start to feel the effects. It's kind of like that. And it's because the shit that John was doing with like the drugs, the cocaine, whatever. Like Alex Pereira, and everybody know the story with Alex Pereira, and you know he was an alcoholic, but once, you know, he got sober and he was just clean, Alex Pereira really changed his whole transformation and body around. John, I think John is a little bit different because it's different from being an alcoholic to doing drugs and cocaine and shit like that. Obviously, hard drug shit is gonna fuck you up way more than drinking alcohol and shit. So, yeah, I think John's body is just breaking down on him, which I don't want to. Yeah, I'm torn because I want to see it for a stylistic dream matchup, but John's state, I think Alex gonna piece him up. And also with this matchup, where that leaves with Cyril Gane. Because honestly, I thought it was going to be Alex Pereira, and it could still be. It could still be Alex Pereira and Cyril Gane, but the direction seemed like it's Alex Pereira and John Jones. So where that leaves Cyril Gane, like, and then Tom Aspinall, he's not fighting. Tom Aspinall, I don't even expect Tom Aspinall to fight until like October, November-ish. Maybe as early as August. So, like, where that leaves Cyril Gane, you know what I mean? But in the mix of all that, Yair Prochazka's getting another, he's getting another shot at the belt. And then against Carlos Ober, that's an interesting matchup. And then we got JDM and Carlos Paredes. That's another interesting matchup for welterweight. JDM potentially could be like Belal, where these niggas is just one and done type champions, and they probably never gonna get the belt back. Welterweight, I'm gonna put that on the list of videos I gotta make down the road, cause I'm gonna double back on it. I might double back on it with Islam, but welterweight, like the past, and it is crazy. It is so crazy looking back on welterweight now that Islam's on top. Because just last summer, we was talking about Shavkat dominating the welterweight division. And then he got hurt, and it was JDM and Belal. And then we had the little rise of JDM. And then, you know, JDL gets dog walked by Islam. Shavkat hurt again. Belal is on a 2-fight losing streak with the loss against JDM and then the loss against Ian Gary. So it's crazy how the three niggas that we was talking about last summer, and also with Shavkat dominating, everything got flipped upside down. Cause now we talking about Ian Gary again. The only really person stayed consistent has been Ian Gary. Even with the loss with Shavkat, I feel like Ian Gary's stock went up tremendously more with that Shavkat loss than anything. Then we got Michael Morales, what he did to Sean Brady. Then we got Carlos Pereira, and JDM has, and that's why I said JDM has the potential to be Bell, because not only is he's a one and done champ, but he's facing Carlos Paredes, who, dare I say, Carlos might put JDM lights out, bro. Like, Carlos just, his Muay Thai is fucking crazy, and the fucking power. It's just the way that he slept Leon like that. Like you don't sleep somebody like Leon the way he did if you ain't got tremendous power. Like, it's, y'all go back and rewatch that Leon Edwards Carlos Paredes fight. Like Sean Brady did what he did to Leon, but that's how Bell beat Leon. It just Sean Brady got the finish. But I haven't seen anybody do that shit. What Carlos did to Leon, I haven't seen anybody else do that shit to Leon in like forever. Marty Usman couldn't even do that shit. And Marty Usman was sleeping, you know. Well, I wouldn't say sleeping, but his boxing got tremendously better to the point where he was untouchable. Cause everybody knew it, the nigga could grapple, but now that he can box your fucking head off and piece you up, this nigga, he became a one-dimensional fighter to a three-way tough opponent. So that, yeah, JDM, he gonna have his hands full. Now, stylistically, I do feel like JDM can frustrate Carlos Paredes, but also one thing that's underrated about this fight is where's JDM's mental. Because we saw in it, and you go back and watch the Islam fight, it seemed like JDM's mental is like, it was broken. Like, Islam broke JDM. That was very shocking to see. That, okay, we all know that nobody can fuck with Islam on a grappling department, right? Other than a certain few. But for you to be that mentally defeated like that, it's like, at least with Volk, like especially that first fight, Volk was 10 toes down on bringing the fight to Islam. Tell you the truth, that's the last fight that Islam had that really, you know, put him in jeopardy of fucking losing for real. Really, the last fight that Islam had that really put him in jeopardy of losing a fight was that first Volk fight. So Volk, he was 10 toes down bringing the fight to Islam. The fact that JDM, he looked that mentally defeated, I'm like, dog, Islam ain't really got to do a damn thing for real. But that's one of the most interesting things going into that fight that I really want to see, is how JDM mental capacity is, and how is he going to approach this fight. But yeah, that's an interesting fight. Then we got the Islam Ian Gary news. Oh man, this is the round I want to get to, because this shit right here is just, I don't even think it's Michael Morales. But to tell you the truth, it should be Ian Gary. It should be Ian Gary. Have Michael Morales fight. I would have Michael Morales actually fight Marty Usman, and then we do it that way, because then the winner, because this is how I would do it. I would have Islam defend the belt against Ian Gary, Michael Morales fight Marty Usman, Then the winner of Marty Usman and Michael Morales can fight the winner of JDM and Carlos Paredes, while Islam, the winner of that, could potentially fight Ilya, especially if Islam beat Ian Gary. Then I will, under a special circumstance, I will grant the Ilya Taporia and Islam fight. That's how I would do it. But we gonna see where it goes from here, because niggas are saying, this nigga Ali saying it's a big name. So could it be Ilya Taporia at the White House? Could it be Marty Usman? They need to just go ahead. We were supposed to get the White House card like last week or so, and you know, it's frustrating. It really is frustrating, because there's a whole lot of moving parts and all this other bullshit. It's like what are we doing here? Like, can we get a fight going? You know, can we at least you ain't gotta say who's on the main card. Can we get some fights announced that could be on the prelims? You know what I'm saying? Or at least announce a couple fights on the main card that will open up the card. Like, can we get something? You know what I mean? All this fucking hype about we got the fights made and done. Apparently not. If, you know, niggas are saying, you know, John Jones saying we negotiating for the White House and all this other shit. Ali coming out saying that we rejecting Ian Gary. It's gonna be a bigger name than Ian Gary. Then Conor, speaking on Conor a little bit. Conor, apparently Conor's not gonna be on the White House card. They saving Conor for International Fight Week in July. So it's just, that's why I ain't really been posting shit on my stories and shit like that about the White House. Cause I'm like, bro, I'm not full all this, like. And I seen a couple fans in the comments, they was getting on the other media sources in the comments about, well, y'all said this at first, but now it's now this and all this shit. I'm like, what the fuck we doing in UFC? Like, Dana, Hunter Campbell, Mick Maynard, Sean Shelby, like, what the fuck we doing here? Like, are we turning the sport into boxing, or are we trying to be our own thing? Like what we doing here, bro? Cause having this shit, like some of this shit that's going on right now is uncalled for. Like, y'all say one thing, and then on top of that, like the Dana announcement, like the announcement for the fights of and I told y'all niggas what it was. Especially if y'all, for those that made it further into the video, that video I made a couple days ago, I told y'all what it was. That's why I didn't really say nothing. I didn't double back on it, because number one, I ain't double back on the shit because they waited so fucking long. It was like, what, like around like midnight or something like that, then we got the news or whatever. And on top of that, I knew what the fuck it was, so it was like, I'm not even gonna make a video on it, because not only is late at night, it wasn't anything special. If it was a special announcement, like, okay, we finally gonna give y'all niggas the Ilya Taporia and Islam fight, or if it was something like, we'll tell you the truth, nothing is really, I don't even think nothing is really gonna be that special anymore, excuse me, because the fights that some of these fights we already expecting to be made, or we already know, like, this the fight that they're gonna make if everything lines up. So anything is really not gonna be special. Like, I can't even think of a fight announcement that I was like, obviously with certain title fights, shit like that, I'm like happy for it, because stylistically it's gonna be one hell of a fight. But a fight announcement that made me like jump over the moon, like sky high type shit, I can't really remember a fight. What you call it? Ilya Taporia and Charlie Olives. That fight right there, that fight right there, international fight week, that was like the last fight that I was like really like excited for. And it's because, you know, we were seeing Ilya, you know, go up and fight somebody. Not that Volk ain't a good, because Volk is a legendary name on Ilya Tapore's resume, but it was like the styles of like a Charlie Olives and then Ilya going up to fight Charlie Olives. That's like now, like this week with Max Holloway and Charlie Olives, like this pay-per-view right here, like I'm 10 toes down, you know, locked in. Cause Max and Charlie is both my niggas, and this shit right here also could change the course of lightweight. Because if Max beat Charlie Olives, low key, Max and Ilya Tapore, the rematch is not far-fetched, you know what I mean? And vice versa. Charlie Olives, you know, Charlie Olives and Max and Ilya Tapore, Charlie finally get his rematch against Ilya, but some of these other fights, but back to the, you know, what I was saying, some of these fight announcements, like I expected, you know, like I expected, go back to that video. I gotta recheck what video I said it on. But I'm like, more than likely it's going to be, you know, the announcement of Alex Pereira going up, and it's either going to be Yuri Proska and Carlos Oberg or Yuri Proska and Cam Zach. So it was going to be one of those two matchups. But it turned out to be Yuri and Carlos with Alex Pereira moving up. I will say that JDM and Carlos Pereira, that was a good fight announcement. That was a good fight announcement, because I am interested in that matchup. But other than that, it's just UFC, what the fuck we doing here? You know what I mean? But anyway, I ain't gonna hold y'all up too much. Yeah, that's pretty much it for you know, for the weekend's recap. UFC Mexico was I saw that wasn't a lot of tickets sold. So I don't know if I could tell you one thing. This UFC Mexico was not heavily promoted. It was not heavily promoted. I guarantee you, this weekend with Max and Charlie Olives, that pay-per-view is gonna get sold out. That pay-per-view is gonna be sold out, because this shit been heavily promoted like the past 2 weeks before we even got to where we at today. UFC Mexico was like, you know, it is what it is. Mexico Real Live get more love during International Fight Week around that time than you know what we saw from this past weekend at UFC Mexico. But it was a good night, good weekend of fights, and a lot of news, a lot of shit to talk about. Still some frustrations with the UFC, because this shit gotta change. This shit gotta change for the better. But anyways, you know, until my next video, holla at y'all niggas later, man.